Hello, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we've got another frugal storage tip. I don't know how it's pretty frugal. Yeah, it's definitely efficient, and being frugal with our space is a thing too, and that's what I want to help you with today. So the thing I want to talk about today is containers and how to make better use of those containers, especially these big bins. Now you can find these bins at the Dollar Tree now. They are pretty flimsy. I've got them at Target before that are a little bit better, and you can find some better quality ones probably at IKEA. I don't have any of the IKEA cubes, so I don't know if those would fit what I have. I just have like the Home Depot, Walmart, Target type cubes, but they do provide wonderful storage. Each of these bins is about a cubic foot of storage. So I've got a couple different ways that I like to use these. Now, if there's something that I don't need to get to very often, I can pretty much fill it up, but you got to make sure that you can eventually get that stuff out and put it back in. So one thing that I found to work with these kind of flimsy bins is to put a bin inside of them, and that bin could just be a cardboard box like I did here with this one. Now I don't often do resin crafts. It would just be in the summer because the fumes are pretty bad, and I don't like to, because I'm in the basement of my home. I don't have a separate studio, so I don't really want those fumes all through my house. So what I do is I just take the all my supplies, I put all my molds in this cardboard box. Inside here, all my smaller molds, my silicone molds, my bottles of resin, rubber gloves, they're packed in pretty tightly, kind of like a game of Tetris. There's no space wasted there because I don't frequently need to get in there. This would be a pain if I had to get in this cubby every day and pull something out, because I'd have to pull, if I want like a little rose flower mold, I would need to dig through this whole stack of round molds to find what I want. But since I only need to do this once in a while, and when I do craft with resin, I tend to take everything out and make as much stuff as I will need for the year, so then I can pack everything up when I'm done. And then by putting a smaller bin inside of a big cubby like this, I can use the space here to put my larger molds that wouldn't fit in the box, such as my jewelry molds or candy molds that I use for paper making or for resin, and it works out really well. My daughter uses these molds for polymer clay, but she can put them back when she's done with them, and it's not that big of a deal. Even with her using these for polymer clay, this bin only gets really gotten into a couple times a year. So things do not need to be super accessible if you're not using them that often. It's better to have them compactly stored. I wouldn't want to spread supplies that I only use once a year across 3 or 4 cubbies. But if it was something I used all the time, I definitely would want to make them a little bit easier to get to and probably have them in my shallow drawers. Now this other cubby is another example of that same principle of having a bin within a bin, kind of dividing that big space up, but this is for my stencils. Now what I used to have is I had my stencils, and I generally use this for jelly printing and for card making, and I love to use stencils. I love to do stencil backgrounds, even on my paintings. So all my stencils that are smaller than 8 inches wide go in one of these Dollar Tree locker bins. And I just had that sitting in one of those cubbies with wasted space around it for years. And then I have these things here. These are wonderful. They're discontinued, obviously. I'm sorry. I hate that when I show you something that's really cool and you can't buy it anymore. But these are by Stampendous. At least I don't think you can still get them. But they were these stamps, and they were a foam stamp and a rubber stamp and a stencil, and you could like mix and match them and layer them up and do all kinds of really cool stuff with them. And I love to use those also for texture. So I used to have them kind of sitting in the cubby, kind of shoved in like that. And I had one shoved in the box here, and then when I went to pull my stencils out, those would fall on the floor or they'd tip over, and it was just kind of aggravating. So then it occurred to me that I could just plop this bin right inside this cubby. I can just bring the whole bin right over to my table when I'm doing jelly printing, and then these can sit right next to them on their ends. I can still see what I have, and I can still flip through everything without really having to, you know, take anything out and disrupt anything. So everything can be accessible while it's in this bin. Since I use this all the time, I need it to be accessible. I don't want to worry about this unused space up here and try to cram it full, because that would be annoying to have to pull stuff out so I could use it. So those are 2 different ways that I use containers with the kind of the bin in the bin method, and it's something new to me. I just kind of came up, probably you guys have been doing it for years, but it's something I thought I just came up with this week, and it's worked really well for me. Now the other thing I want to share, because I don't see many people doing this, but temporary storage. I recently picked up, because it was on sale and it came in red, which is my favorite color, that nice crimson red. I love crimson red. I got one of these tiered carts, and I'm gonna try to move this and not make you sick and not like tip my camera over. So I got one of these tiered carts from Consumer Crafts. It was on sale for like 20 bucks. And I couldn't resist. I just love that color. And I've wanted one for so long, but I couldn't figure out what I was going to use it for. And then it occurred to me, this is where I keep the projects that are on deck. You know, in baseball, when someone's on deck, they're getting ready to go next. So these are the things that I'm getting ready to use next. I'll be doing some Valentine's favors. So I've got some candy, some lollipop, and I've got some markers, and I'm going to be coloring some stamped images. So that's the next project that's on top. I've got some things to review on the bottom. Now, another tip that I'm going to share with you is that except for little trays for organizing projects in progress or projects that I'm just getting ready to do, I do not keep empty storage in my craft area, because having an empty basket sitting on your table is just asking for clutter. So when I change the way I'm storing something, or I empty out a basket and put the contents, or empty out a cubby or a drawer and put the contents elsewhere, not so much a drawer because drawers stay in their own like chest of drawers, but when I empty a container, I take it out. When I empty a tin, I take it out. I have a couple really large Sterilite totes, you know, the big totes like you would put stuff in your garage. I have a couple of those that are just filled with like tins and boxes and cubbies and just little things like that that I can organize with, because as you use stuff up, you need less space for certain things. As you get more things, you need more space for certain things. And I'm a big believer in storing like with like. So I have all my water-soluble crayons together in a drawer. I have all of my you know, self-adhesive gems together in a drawer. I have all my like items with like items if I can, because it makes finding stuff so much easier. So the only exception to the don't leave empty containers in your craft room because it will just attract clutter is my trays that I put projects together in. Like if I know I'm going to be doing a project, then I just stick it in a tray, and then when I've got the time, I'll do it. On deck here on my rolling cart are the things that actually have to be done that that I'm going to be working on next, or things that I know I'm going to work on next. So that gives me room for like 3 projects to have kind of waiting in the wings for when I, you know, when I'm procrastinating, I can look, oh yes, there it is. I need to do that. And then I empty it and it stays empty. Now, eventually my craft area is going to be on the other side of that wall. There is a insulated and heated room there. It's currently my son's bedroom, but we are expanding our home. And so there'll be nobody sleeping in the basement. That will be a good thing. And I'll have a heated work area, which will be another very good thing. But I'll probably end up leaving this space pretty much as is, because it is so efficient. Like the way the storage, I know where everything is, and I just really like how and honestly, if it was a few degrees warmer in this area, you wouldn't be able to pry me out of this area, because even though it's just kind of a dark, lonely old basement corner, I just love it. And if I can do anything to help you love your space and get more creative, then I want to do that. So there's my container tip for you today, and keep an eye on my channel because I'll just be showing the things that I changed over the last year. I'll have a link to my craft room tour in the video description so you can check it out. And if you have any tips for using bins, containers, cubbies, anything like that, let us know in the comments below, because your idea might be perfect for somebody else in the community. And the more we get organized and we know where our stuff is, the more we will use it, and that is awesome. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.